Okay, I gotta say, we're doing the Boorman.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sheila,
sorry.
I'm sitting there watching this thing, and Sheila's like, you know what this is like? It's like a Christmas story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tonally, the direction. If you think about how the way that the scenes play out in a Christmas story, I'm like, yes, that's exactly right. I'm just sitting there going, what's wrong with this movie? And Sheila, just, as usual, just nailed it. I was like, yeah, it's just okay.
It's a
So
it's a
I've
series of
seen,
random it's a series of random recollections about childhood.
yeah, but it's just the way they're staged to
Yeah.
me is
There's a
very.
there's a perverseness to the overall storytelling.
It's
I,
like
Strange.
I,
a
Okay,
sketch.
hold on, stop. What Jared said, break that down. What do you mean by perverseness?
Well, the first half is filled with, well, actually, all of it
Are you
is
talking
filled
about
with.
just the odd way the story is told, or actually this is a very weirdly
No,
sexy
I'm
film.
talking about the portrayal of. I mean, I'm assuming that this is loosely autobiographical for Boorman, and
Not
Yeah.
loosely.
It's probably
okay, so
directly.
it
I
is.
thought.
Not loosely.
It felt like blow by blow, right?
Well, it was also like the weird giddiness that everyone had around war
Yeah.
happening in their backyard was maybe accurate and definitely interesting, but kind of weird to first swallow when you turn on the movie.
It's kind of off-putting. It's
Well,
pretty strange.
especially given
is.
what's on the news now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just odd, and I think I don't know. I'd have to think about more about the Christmas Story comparison, but I don't initially our knee jerk response is that's probably not wrong.
But the thing is,
No, John just crystallized everything I don't like about the movie
well,
in
the
one
thing is,
sentence.
when it started
Sheila
out,
did it for you, actually.
Yeah,
it started out as a film that was like the war is going to happen. You had that very heavy feeling that this is going to be World War II is going to start.
You
yeah,
had that heavy feeling?
Yeah.
I certainly
No,
didn't.
hold on. I did. The thing is, the beginning of the film you did, but by the 2/3 mark, it was like this annoyance and excitement that was like no one's too worried about that. And when the girl's mom gets killed by a bomb, it's kind of treated as something humorous. Like, I don't believe
Well,
my mom got killed. Ha 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 ha. Kind of. It was very odd.
Well, I will say this though,
Yeah.
it definitely never betrays its point of view,
Yeah.
which is strictly from the child.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there's never
Right. You get the feeling.
Which is why I give it a pass on most of
Both
it.
Yeah,
both
I
movies
almost give it a-
actually though don't. Like
Mm,
no, I don't think
I
the other
would-
one does either.
that's debatable, and we'll get there.
Well,
But
okay. Yeah, I think they do stick with the child's point of view. However, in the Spielberg flick, the child's point of view changes because he changes.
Right. That's the thing. Nobody changes in this movie.
Nobody changes in this movie.
And
That
also,
kid is unaffected by this war.
I have to say, the acting in this movie is fucking terrible. It's absolutely
all the way
terrible.
across.
That's part of the
Well,
Christmas Story effect.
it's on it's on some kind of
It's
ramped up
clumsy.
energy.
I think
Yeah,
it's
I
the
under-
same
I- like, I
universe as
understand-
the baseball movie we just watched.
Eight Men Out.
Uh-huh.
8 Men Out.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's not. No,
I think everyone here is like on a lot of cocaine. There's just way
Right.
too much energy from everybody in this picture.
The dad is somehow drunk in every scene that he's in.
Sometimes really
Like
drunk.
it's like Clive is never not drunk in this entire movie.
The horny daughter is like a fucking Energizer bunny, dude.
I know it's just, and there's so much like
That's Sammy Davis, who for about 5 years seemed to be in everything coming out of the UK.
there's so much in this movie of like I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I love
No,
you. Like
I counted 3 scenes where she threw a fit and then fell into her mother's arms sobbing.
right.
3 separate
Yes.
scenes.
It's like you don't need to keep hitting that nail over and over and
Right.
over and over and over.
And they had
again.
that fight scene at the doorway.
So, guys, I think this is my third Boorman. Third Boorman. It's like obviously Zardoz, right?
Yay, Zardoz.
And then
Yay.
Zardoz
Excalibur.
is taking all of this manic energy
Whoa.
and just going as crazy as you can.
Right.
Just
Okay,
make
but
it-
Zardoz gets a pass because it's weird. Excalibur kind of gets a pass because it's Excalibur,
Right.
which I've always liked
I
that
don't love
movie, but
Excalibur.
Deliverance
either.
is good.
Deliverance,
though. Deliverance is
dude.
good.
I don't like Deliverance.
I've always.
I just don't think Boorman's for me.
Yeah.
I think
I think he's a taste maybe.
Well,
I
I think-
love
I-
Zardoz though. I fucking adore Zardoz.
having Excalibur and which always something I like Excalibur, but
I love
something's always felt a little bit off.
You
about
should
that
have picked
movie.
Excalibur with Knight Riders.
Yeah, that
Well,
would
that's
have
not
been
a bad
good.
idea.
That's the choice there.
I'm just saying that now that I see Boorman direct real people in a real situation, a more realistic kind of milieu, I'm like, maybe he's just a ham-fisted kind of
I know
director. He's clumsy.
but that's
Did you
absolutely
feel
not.
that
You know
way
what?
about the commitments?
No, that's
But
that.
there is a certain edge to his work.
That's a different director.
That's
kind
not
of okay.
that's not Boorman though, right?
No, that's not. That's not. That's
Who
Alan.
is
That's
it?
Alan. What's his name?
Emerald
Oh,
Forest,
Parker.
like
Sorry.
Alan
The
Parker.
thing is,
Okay.
Alan Parker,
Oh,
no,
what's
hold
the
on.
Alan Parker flick we watched? Absolute Beginners?
No, that's
Oh, that was
That's
Julian
Julian
Temple.
Temple.
Julian
Yeah.
Temple.
No,
that feels a little bit like this too.
Well, the
to
thing
me.
is, okay, let's go back a bit. Let's just talking about how this film's structured. Boorman did Deliverance, and Deliverance is a very straightforward, almost like a boringly directed by a
So it's a linear, yeah,
linear film. And so is Zardoz, and so is Excalibur, even though it's kind of loopy in places. It tells a story beginning and end. This is a bunch of like scenes.
memories.
This is like a chopped up bunch of
maybe
like
not coincidentally, so is the next movie.
yeah.
It's
Well,
like
that's
we
true.
watched.
Yeah.
We watched.
It seems more linear than the
what
other
was
one.
the Dublin?
Well, 'cause
what
it's
was the
based on
Dublin Kenneth Branagh movie?
Well, I mentioned this movie.
The
Belfast.
sappy one.
Watch that.
It's like
Oh, Belfast.
It is like
Belfast.
Belfast.
But Belfast
Belfast,
is
yeah.
this idea done better.
See, I had the opposite reaction.
No, it's this idea done better
Well-
because that feels a little bit more dreamy.
Maybe
This
the
movie-
filmmaking is better there, but I think that the
Real-
sentimentality that Branagh
Is
brought,
similar.
I don't feel it as much here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is weird. The energy is weird,
Oh yeah.
but it's not. And we're gonna get to forced sentimentality later in the show.
Oh, we
But,
certainly are.
Yeah,
but Branagh suffers from, we'll call it the Spielberg syndrome with Belfast, where he's like forcing the sentimentality on you. I feel like Boorman is creating. I don't know if he's forcing it. I mean, he's definitely trying a little bit, but it feels like a different energy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That
It
movie
is- definitely
feels
is a
more
different
like
energy.
that movie feels more like memories to me. This movie feels like nostalgia, which is those are two different things.
Mm.
Like
Well, yeah,
the sort of
nostalgia comes out of
fuzziness,
memory.
the sort of fuzziness of the memories that gives you that slightly more maudlin sentimental thing in Belfast, I think works better than when happens here, which is like, oh, remember the war? The war wasn't that bad. I mean, yeah, so and so's mother died, but we got to go live in the woods. You know, like we got to fish.
Which
We
is
got
you know,
to, yeah, we got to play in the rubble and
Yeah, well, which is interesting. Let me stop. The thing is, if Boorman is saying the war was not that traumatic for him, maybe he's coming from an honest place. Maybe
Yeah,
it
sure.
wasn't. Maybe it wasn't that traumatic. for
But
him.
that's nostalgia.
The thing is,
Well,
all those.
he's-
Well, we don't. Hold on, we don't know that. Well, there's one thing about having all those gangs of boys running around this to ruin things, breaking shit, and being a.
That's what I was just
that
thinking
crazy
of.
thing
It's
with
like
that crazy thing with a bullet. That was.
you have this group of kids of this age
That
who
wouldn't work.
who had a
Yeah, it would
war.
just fall off.
A war is taking place during some of their formative years as
Yeah.
young boys.
It
So
was making him feral. Is basically what they're trying to say. It's
Little
like-
Yeah,
bit.
but ask the girl
Yeah.
whose
Except
mother
boys are-
died if the
Little
war was.
boys are feral.
Yeah.
to begin
Well,
with.
that's
No.
her perspective. It's
Yeah,
not
that's the thing.
But I'm saying, like, that's what I mean about nostalgia. It's nostalgia
And I
for
don't-
him because the only bad thing that happened to him was his house burned down. Like,
it wasn't even
Well,
the
it's
war.
still burned down.
Sometimes
Sometimes
wasn't even
houses
war.
just burn down.
right.
well, I don't think that
Oh,
That's
it's
the
sad.
best part of the movie too. That's
It
why I
ju-
have it as
just
my
burned
background.
down. Yeah.
it's actually
Is
a
that-
really beautiful shot where they're standing out talking.
I
Is
do
that
like
house burn? The house burns down not because of a bomb. The Germans didn't do this.
Uh.
You just fucking left the kettle on
Right.
dry or
And you
some
burn,
shit,
and you burned
Yeah.
the house down.
and you burned
Exactly.
your house down.
I
Because you were
also
trying
like-
to cheat on your husband with his,
All right.
best friend at the beach.
Yeah, right.
I also like that this film is very pro blimp. It's
Oh,
it's
Well, I mean,
adamantly-
the English
it's-
were
it's
very
pro
pro.
Barack.
adamantly pro blimp.
I don't know. They shoot it down at the end.
Also,
Oh, but all the kids are like, ah.
Well,
Hey,
how did you
that-
feel when
look,
That's great.
if I had a bunch of Blitz balloons at the end of my block, I'd be pretty stoked about that too.
Yeah.
Those
It
things
was
are
pretty cool. I have to admit.
yeah.
Like, but the thing what happened with me is immediately when I was done watching this, and I went and I rewatched the Disney version of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe,
Mhm.
and like it's the same thing. Like this movie, you get to the house in the woods with the weird adult male figure who's in charge, And like instead of going into a magical wardrobe and coming out in Narnia, you just go fishing a lot. Like it's
The grumpy grandpa was like one of the best characters in the whole movie, dude.
Oh, he
Well,
was,
he
I mean,
is-
like
again,
everything else,
overacting,
Yeah,
overacting the shit.
overplayed.
Oh, he was
Like
a-
everything
he was-
else.
he was
That's
a
where I
voice-
feel like the movie comes to a screeching halt.
But he was
Robert-
hilarious, dude.
Robert
fun.
DeBruce
He
is
was
a
so
better
fucking-
actor.
He was
than
so
that.
pissed all the time about nothing.
The weird thing is, he seemed kind of frail. I thought he was gonna like fall down and break a hip or die or something like that. Like the behind the scenes, you know what I'm talking about?
And then
But-
he just starts laughing hysterically in the car.
Yeah.
It's like it's
Well,
Yeah,
shooting
that
the-
was weird, man.
Also, shooting the rat from the kitchen table, that was nice. You know, it was like, okay.
Yeah.
not shooting it.
Well, not
This-
shooting,
He
missing, but-
missed,
missed.
yeah.
Try.
Yeah, right, trying.
And
He
they're
didn't
like,
like-
no, he was limping when he walked away.
Exactly. Also, as
No.
Dad pointed out, this is probably the most British show movie we've ever seen on this thing. This is extremely British.
You
Maybe
forget
that's why I
Colonel
like it more
Blimp.
than you guys.
Colonel
Oh.
Blimp. Yeah.
You threw
Ah,
it-
this is more
My
British than
favorite
that.
scene- This
Yeah,
is my
it's-
favorite
yeah.
scene in the whole
I don't
fucking-
know. We've had some pretty British stuff.
This is
maybe.
you
This is
threw
my
a
favorite
googly.
scene in this movie.
Yeah, right.
The
A-
scene
a
when they're
nice
on the
trip-
beach.
A nice
And
trip
it's
to
a
the
wicked-
beach.
There
was
are
a
nice
wicked
trip to the
googly.
beach. It's probably 56 degrees, but it's warm to them. There's fucking barbed wire where you're supposed to
Well,
swim.
it's fucking Normandy behind them.
That
Yeah.
kid's swim trunks are probably made of wool.
Yeah,
I just-
probably.
Yes.
I love this movie if for no other reason than there's a lot of this going on. I remember when we did Belfast, which was my pick, and I remember when I was talking about my reaction to Belfast, I said it made me think about Hope and Glory, which I watched a little bit of,
Mhm.
and like Hope and Glory seems to me to be what Belfast was trying to do, but failed because that movie just feels completely artificial and weird in all the ways that you guys have been mentioning about this movie. I saw this when it came out.
Oh,
And it never once did I not think I was watching it. And I think it was even in the marketing. This is the war as seen by a perspective of a 10-year-old.
Right.
Yeah.
All they're seeing is the cool stuff. And they're not
Yeah.
feeling,
Yeah.
they don't have any
That's-
sense of the
That's right.
Right. They
That's
don't
exactly
have any
right.
sense of the gravity
let's go
of
back
it.
to what I'm saying. is
grown-ups
that,
around them are kind of shielding them from that level of fear and terror.
Mhm.
And that's why to him, well, this was pretty interesting. And then my school blowed up, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, I think the movie loses a lot of momentum when they go to the country, but then
Sure.
they come back and it has that great closer.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Also,
I like this movie. It sounds like way more than
Chris, what year did The Wall come out?
the movie.
The movie The Wall, yeah, Pink Floyd. The
82.
Wall. 82. What is it with British and hating education? This is like a theme there. It's like
do you have
Oh,
any
it was
idea
the
how
sodomy
I know,
of
it's like
Ohio.
they would-
atrocious the abuses of the
I
British
know
educational
they
system
show
were?
it in loving.
Caning.
It's almost in
Yeah.
loving.
Sexual
Sodomy.
rampant sexual
Hands
Hey,
abuse.
hey,
Hating and
we're
sodomy.
doing pretty good here in America about hating education
God,
ourselves.
go find
Okay.
the first track on the Smiths Meet His Murder record. It's called The Headmaster Ritual. Is
Oh yeah,
exactly
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much
one of my
it.
favorite Smith songs.
There's
Yeah, they
like,
hate it because they got wrapped on the fucking knuckles with rulers for real, dude.
you were no,
The palms of
there's
their hands with rods.
Spineless mind is
there's this whole thing where like you literally are a slave to an upperclassman when you get into school, and like sometimes that means sexually as well. Like it's like
Well, those
the
are
whole
for the
thing
those are
fucked up.
that's Eton. We don't talk about that.
no, that's
Yeah.
just that was the British education
That was
system.
all public schools.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't think
Which
that
which
was.
are
public
private
school,
schools.
I don't think that was
public school
overseen
is
by the
ironically
fucking
private
principals,
schools.
though.
Right.
Get in front of the
But
class
there
now,
was
pull your
he
trousers
did
down.
get his hands caned for
Yeah, wow.
something
Yeah.
early on in the film.
I mean, there's a sort of masterpiece theater quality to some of this stuff, but I just went with it. It's very British, and again, for 1987, I thought was a pretty good year for movies. This was one of the ones I remember liking a lot, and I enjoyed watching it again. I like a lot of Boorman movies. Hell in the Pacific is a good movie. Point Blank is a good movie. I like Emerald Forest. I mean, we could talk about Exorcist Heretic a lot because that's fucking train wreck, but I don't think he's definitely weird. I mean, you kind of there's like a spectrum of British weird, right? Like way over here is Ken Russell, and then you got Nicholas Roeg, and then maybe Boorman's sort of in the middle of British weird.
Yeah.
I
can see that.
But I didn't think this was even all that particularly weird. I felt like, kind of think about Tree of Life. That movie is
Yeah.
seems to
Well,
me-
actually, that's not dissimilar. In fact, it's the same in kind of choppiness, but less in terms of being weird,
This
this
was
transcendent stuff.
clearly
There.
very personal. This was
Yeah.
something that happened to him when he grew up, and he wanted to make a movie about it. He put his fucking kid in it.
Two of them, actually. Two
Yeah.
of them.
Two kids.
Two
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, because you put both of them in Excalibur too.
That's right.
Uh, But yeah, I enjoyed sitting through it again, and I
Just
love
another Hollywood Nepo baby, huh, Scott?
I love that last shot where they're like dancing because the school is on fire.
Mhm.
The idea that like this is anything more than this one child's perspective, I think is a little,
No,
like,
I wouldn't.
because again, ask the other
I don't
girl.
think I don't think it's supposed to be. I think
Ask the other
that's
girl
what
at
this
what
movie
her
is.
perspective is.
Yeah, no, this is
Yeah,
this
this is
absolutely-
just the kid's perspective.
this is a peculiar film in a lot of ways, and like I said, that's also highly sexualized for some of the kid that young. It was like,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
but
really
that's
odd.
a thing that happens during war.
That's true.
Proximity, man.
hmm Yeah, I'm
Like-
surprised it was
Happened
PG.
during peacetime too, you guys. Did
Oh,
you grow up alone?
yeah. I guess we should actually give Jim a nice long corner here because of the distortion.
Yeah, I'm the same as Chris, I guess. I saw it when it first came out and just had fond memories of it. That's sort of why I picked it, because I thought of being the ironic one of watching picking the Spielberg. We'll get to that. It has all the things I hate about Spielberg, but some good stuff in the beginning. Yeah, I don't know. My dad, am I the only one whose father actually fought in World War One?
No, my dad was stationed on an island in the South Pacific,
In the South
and
Pacific.
he saw
Wow.
action. Yeah.
My two uncles one was on a floating dry dock and one was on a destroyer in the Pacific, and my dad was in England being bombed and buzz bombed.
Whoa.
My
So-
grandfather was in it, but not
Okay.
my dad.
My two
Yeah.
grandfathers were stationed in the U.S., but two of my uncles were in the European theater. One of them landed at Normandy.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's almost identical. I had three uncles. One landed in Normandy, two were in the Pacific.
Yeah.
My grandfather actually was just like the father in this. He was like a typist. He didn't really
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
he didn't see
My
action.
dad was a carpenter who basically got flown all around the UK building buildings on
Mhm.
Air Force.
My grandfather was in advertising,
Agency.
and so they put him in the Army Air Corps Training Division, and so he would leave. They moved to Connecticut, and he would leave his house, and instead of driving to the office that he normally drove to wearing a suit, he would put on a officer's uniform and drive to a different office in New York and work with the same people he worked at the ad agency to make training material for the Air Corps.
That's pretty good.
That apparently wasn't uncommon. That was like that was
No.
happened a lot. Yeah, exactly.
It's funny you mentioned. I also thought of The Wall when I was watching this, because it has some of the same stuff. You know, you have a kid about the same age, except his father actually goes off and dies in the war.
Right.
But yeah, there is that.
I kept expecting that to happen in
weirdness.
this.
It only kind of happened once.
Yeah, when his dad went off, on his motorcycle or whatever to go
Yeah.
join up.
I thought that's it.
And that was the first thing I said was like, why is he signing up? He doesn't have to. There's no draft.
Yeah.
He's got a family. He's married with kids. Why is he doing this?
And he came back
Because
drunk.
they really did think it was going to be like a cakewalk.
He said
We'll be
6
back-
months. I'll be back
yeah.
in 6 months. It'll
We'll
all
be
be
back.
over.
We'll be done
Well,
by
it was kinda
Christmas.
like,
And I
it
thought
was-
they would, and then Dunkirk happened. It was like, oh fuck.
What's
Yeah.
that movie? It was a
But
lot
I
like
figured he was going to die.
what's that movie we watched? I think it was Finnish, maybe. About remember how excited they were, the soldiers, before they went to the war, and they were like, "Yay, we're gonna kick ass, and we're gonna."
A number of films we've watched.
I think it was
Yeah.
Jim picked two war movies.
Like
about-
Grand Illusion or
was,
something.
God War, and then the one where they have
It was
to
the
end up-
Estonian one.
The Estonian one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you remember the beginning, they were like, "Woo, we're gonna sign up," and then they were like devastated.
Mhm.
That was like these guys in this. Like one of my favorite scenes in this movie, because it's just fucking ridiculous, is when that guy's hand gets caught in his door, but we don't know that
Yeah.
yet.
Oh
And
God.
he's like driving down, and
I
'cause
knew it
they're like,
immediately.
"Woohoo, we're gonna fucking fight the Germans or whatever, yay!" And then the guy's like, "Haha," like making, and he thinks that guy's the funniest, he's the best. But the whole time his hand is stuck in his door, and that's why he's like making funny faces, and he's
This
like,
is what
"Oh,
I'm saying about
stop
the
it."
dad being drunk through the entire movie. If
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
sober, you're like, oh shit, your
Dude,
hand's
that-
stuck in the door.
Well,
Like,
even the kid is the one who figures it
Right.
out.
Yeah, right.
Dad,
Right.
his hand stuck in the
The
door.
dad's just like, "He's the best, isn't he? Look how funny he is."
That's pretty early in the film, and that was about the time I was just like,
Yeah, like what the fuck is
What?
going on here?
Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
I know it's
movie?
it's all over the place tonally.
It's odd.
It's just an odd
odd.
film.
It's peculiar.
Yeah.
It
All right, I
actually
guess
looks kind of expensive too. I mean, relatively.
Oh no, it looks good.
biggest
Yeah.
it
They
looks good.
built
it was the
that
biggest
whole
outdoor set
block.
in
That seems
English
amazing.
cinema up to
Did
that
they?
point.
Yeah.
They built that whole block.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and blew it up.
And then blew, blew it up.
I still like it. I mean, for me,
Yeah.
it's solid. Like I still like this
All right,
movie.
okay, let's go around with the things then.
Yeah, I like
I
it.
give it like half.
I can't.
Same
I
here.
can't. It's interesting. I'm glad I watched it.
It's
Yeah, it's interesting. I think
was-
it's
I
got
was-
stuff going
it was-
for it. Some stuff I couldn't really get behind, but